Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's update in the Casper Real Estate Market. My man Chad Lummus.
JK here.
We were back at you. Chad, it was an awesome weekend for you and, well, I wouldn't say the whole family, right? You're down at the, I'm going to call it the Steelers game because there wasn't no Broncos showing up for that game right there.
Yeah, well, obviously my youngest son and I are huge Steelers fans, and he really wanted to go see them play, and so we made it down there, and it was a good time. I mean, the Broncos stadium is great, and they put on a great show. But I mean, it was kind of a lackluster game. I mean, there was not a whole lot of big plays, but it was still fun. And there was a ton of Steelers fans there, so it didn't feel
Outnumbered
and just, yeah, you know, like we're going to get beat up or anything.
Understandable. You know, Ashley Bright, our man over at the Boys and Girls Club, is a huge Steelers fan as well too. So you're in good company right there, man. I mean, anytime you got Ashley Bright's blessing, that's a good thing to have right there. So I'm glad you got that time with your son this weekend, and it was obviously a good game. You guys were victorious, so that's always a great trip home. All right?
A win's a win, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And then you finished up the rim to rim to rim.
Yes. Speaking of wins, we survived the R3, which was great.
Yeah.
So my man Jimmy Klager, he's a managing director down at the Coldwell Banker office down in Grand Junction. Awesome guy. Jimmy is a 20-year Army Ranger veteran, so he's kind of a badass of a guy, and we went and tackled the R3 for the third time, and it was awesome, just the two of us, man. There's nothing better than having just an endless amount of time to have conversations with you in your own head, and really just going through hard things. So it was awesome. It was so joyful, and it was awesome. So we got done in about 21 and a half hours.
Okay.
The goal was 18. That didn't happen, but we still had a great time in the Grand Canyon. It's never easy, but it did happen to get just a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
How was the weather?
I tell you what, it was great. It was epic. It was actually super hot on the way up. It was about 93 degrees on that rim. So it was, it got very hot as we were coming up the south side. So but it was beautiful, amazing. You know, when you're down there in what they call the box, you look up at the stars, you turn your headlamps off, and you think the stars in Wyoming are amazing, which they are. When you're down there in the canyon, it is absolutely epic. I mean, it is super cool. So,
awesome.
Yeah, great experience. We saw tarantulas, scorpions, snakes, mountain goat, deer. I mean, we saw them all. We didn't see a mountain lion, and thank the Lord, because I was praying that we didn't get to see one of those. So. Well, let's talk about the market. You want to go? You want to go local or national? You tell me, bro.
Well, hey, you know, locally, not a lot has happened over the last week. It's like the Pittsburgh Bronco game. It was very lackluster. So we only had a decrease of one pending sale. Not much of a shakeup with the other price ranges. The 500 plus did gain a few over the last week, but again, it's just in lieu of the drop in interest rates, we're on about 6.8% somewhere in there. 5.8. As we start to get closer to 5.5, I think we all expected a lot more activity, but it just hasn't happened. And then I think there's a possible Fed rate cut tomorrow, which will potentially help us there. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Well, I think it's a good point, Chad, that you're bringing up there, because, you know, nationally, we are seeing more inventory on the market, especially throughout the whole year. So if you look at statistically throughout 2024 compared to 2023, the state of Wyoming is at about 20% more inventory than we had a year ago. So, which is great because we've been in inventory demand for the last couple of years. But interesting enough, over the last month, the last 30 days, we're actually down 1.1%. Very traditional, because obviously as we get into this time of the year, school started, people get back into their routines of life and such, we do have a little bit of a tendency to slow down. This one stat kind of jumped out at me, which was for every 2 homes that are going under contract, that are selling on this market right now, 1 home is actually coming off the market. It's being withdrawn.
Really?
And so you're seeing a couple things happen, and I think you alluded to that. One is that the demand isn't necessarily there, right? Buyers, because of inflation, because of the median sales price across the nation, the median active home that's on the market right now is $455,000. It's crazy, right? So inflation has really affected that. So it's not just about interest rates, it's also about just the cost of goods, the cost of real estate right now that's actually affecting that. By no means are we in a recession, and by no means are we in a flat market. But we have made some adjustments over there, and unfortunately, we're seeing a little bit of a slower demand for the real estate. So, but that's not a negative thing. That's okay, buddy. We've been in such a seller's market for a long time. We do want to make a little bit of a shift in this because once again, I mean, inflation has really affected a lot of people, and so.
It could always be worse. I remember when I got into real estate in 2015, that market, that buyer's market.
Yes.
Looking at 50 homes.
Yes. Well, we had, if you think about years in the past, we've had so many more homes on the market that were foreclosures. Mm-hmm. We had a lot more people that were doing short sales.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So we're not experiencing any of that right now, which that's great. That means that families are not in financial distress yet.
Right.
And we don't anticipate that happening, even though, anything can happen with the economy, as we all know that. Obviously getting into an election cycle here very soon. And we'll see kind of what happens at the end of the year. But overall, very positive. There's still homes to sell. Yeah. There's still homes to buy. There's still buyers out there purchasing. So, don't worry, the real estate market is still fairly healthy.
And I'm not saying homes are not moving. Homes are still moving.
Yeah.
And people are still getting full asking price for the most part.
Well, you guys just put a house under contract, or 2 of them under contract this last week, right?
Yeah.
So they're still out there, buddy.
They are.
Yeah. All right, well, that's what we got for you today. I'm not sure if we gave you good news, we gave you bad news. The Steelers won, and Jimmy and I survived the R3, so that's a win right there. So I think that's all we got for you this week. If you, of course, have any more questions when it comes to real estate, you know the man to call over here. And as always, we hope you have an awesome week. We will most certainly look forward to seeing you next week.